outside, it looks more like a investment banking kind of concept. But what we simply do is we are an organization which helps companies in the field of responsible investment, sustainability, and social impact. I'll speak more about that. And we also support a lot of organizations across the world to identify the risks they have as an organization within environmental areas, social areas, and governance areas. And we keep empowering them to become more and more stronger in their operations. What we do exactly over here is we strongly believe that we are not an organization who wants to consult companies in every single area. We believe in strongly consulting in what we believe in, which is sustainability, social impact, and responsible investment. So within that, we deliver products and services within four pillars. One of them being ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance. Second being impact investment. If you might have heard in today's time, investors have started putting more money in the organizations which give them impact as well as financial returns, because on a longer term what we see is a company which is more sustainable. uh, I'm really sorry, I'll just put my phone on silent. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm back. So just sharing my screen again. Okay, so these are the four pillars we work in, and then sustainability and climate change. So we do have a very strong department in the company, which works strongly for advocating climate change and helping organizations to navigate how to achieve their climate targets and sustainability targets, starting from helping them to create a strategy to a framework, to also helping them understand that in today's time, sustainability is no more a separate department in a company. Sustainability is a part of what you do on a daily basis. Sustainability needs to be there across the organization, and that's what we really care about, and that's what we advocate for the companies. And finally, social impact. So we do help companies in understanding that, hey, you know what, stop thinking from a mindset of I'm doing donations because I want to help people. Let's become more responsible, because you're not here to just give donations because you earn a lot of profits, but you're responsible for what's happening in the world around you, because you are a corporate company and you do create certain troubles in different areas. So you are responsible. So rather than seeing how can you be more profitable, why don't you change your mindset and work along with the community, where you are happy as an organization, people are happy around you, and you don't affect people. So within social impact, we try changing this mindset of the company. At the same time, we also help them doing assessments, which include social economic studies, human rights impact assessments, community needs assessment, means what the community needs from you as a company. All in all, that's the very core part of the company, and it's super interesting to be in this field at this point, because the world is growing, and COVID has been a massive realization for the companies that the companies who are just focusing on making profits and making money, uh, was a big realization that they need to be aware about their environment. They need to be aware about their people. They need to be aware about governance of how the company functions, about women leadership, about human rights, and so many other things. And through COVID, a lot of companies have now come to a realization that sustainability and social impact is no more a PR stunt for us. It is mandatory. It is something we need. It is something which is going to lead us in the future. And just a quick run through, our company currently is running about 29 projects. We are a super diverse company. 80% of our company is ISACers, by the way. Our two founders of the company are ISACers. Our company is headquartered in Dubai, and it's fun. It's like full of ISACers, but at the same time, uh, we thrive. We are growing at the rate of 40 to 50% every year, and the culture is very similar to ISAC. Today, I'm sitting in India right now. I can run my JD the way I want. I can wake up at the time I want. I can work at the time I want, because coming from ISAC as an organization, we believe we just don't want to grow in business. We want to grow in people. and we care about people before business. And I think that makes this organization so beautiful. And it just reminds me of Isaac and makes me feel like I want to keep working in such companies which care about you before the clients. And I think that's the beauty of it. Okay, coming to the main point of why I'm here today, and I just wanted to run an open question, and all of you can either speak up or type on a chat box. Just I want to understand how do you see sustainability? What is sustainability for you? Uh, so I'll just put out 1 minute. Would love to know what do you think is sustainability. Doesn't have to be a Google definition. It can just be what you think is sustainability.
In my opinion,
Can
sustainability. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. You can go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Aman, and what I think sustainability is, whether it's in terms of business or any type of practice, it's having something last a lot longer, having something that's sustainable and that doesn't really harm the environment or something too much. That's what I think sustainability is.
Interesting. That was an interesting point of view. Thank you, Aman. Anyone else?
What
Hello.
answer?
Sorry.
I think Akshay can go first, and
All
then
right,
you can
thank
add the
you.
next.
Thank you
Sure.
so much. Well, for me, sustainability means it's like meeting our own needs, but we won't compromise the future generations or the future needs by finishing our own needs as such. Get it? Make sense?
I think that's a very beautiful point, perspective to look at because uh, what Akshay mentioned right now is yeah, the sustainability is not just about businesses. It's about you as an individual. It's about how you are not compromising on the future needs, and that can be in every single area. It can be as simple as today the kind of behaviors you have as an individual when you go in a public environment, the way you treat your peers, the way you treat uh, other humans, the way you treat women, the way you treat people of other gender. Like small thing, like everything counts in sustainability because you're ensuring that today the actions you take in it's not just environment, but the actions you take in every single area of your life might compromise in the needs of the future. And it's not just like fossil fuels. That's just like a one big element, fossil fuels, but there's so many things. Thank you, Akshay.
Hello.
Hi, Hassan.
Hi. Yeah. I think sustainability could be, for example, it could start with the governance of the government. For example, making laws to allow for like reusability of energy, to allow for reusability of energy, for renovating energy, like using clean energy. Like I think it's more have to do with the governance, with the governance of the company, the governments of the government in general, making decisions to like to allow for sustainability, to allow for everything to last longer. Also, we could say it has to do with smart cities, like using more, like being more efficient, using more like energy, being more energy efficient, using more like being more efficient in our everyday lives, using things that don't cost much energy.
Interesting. Interesting perspective, Austin. Completely agree. I feel the beauty of sustainability as a concept is no one is right, no one is wrong. There's there you can have so many meanings of sustainability, and if you all don't mind, like I'll move to the next slide to just say what I personally believe sustainability can be. And I say sustainability means meeting what Akshay was mentioning. Like I truly believe in that as well. Sustainability means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. So sustainability is not just environmentalism, because if you see today in a lot of I'm not speaking about all of us over here, but in a lot of companies, when we speak about sustainability, the first thing which comes into their mind is environment. And in my experience, when I've gone to have meetings with companies and I speak about, imagine a company which is not doing anything in the area of sustainability at this point, and they're argument would be, no, it's okay. Like, you know what? We are not focusing much on environment. We don't damage environment much. We don't need sustainability. Okay. And that's where we come into place to make them understand sustainability is not just environment. Like sustainability is so much beyond that. Sustainability is how you can sustain as an organization, how you individually can sustain as an organization. So thank you everyone who shared, and I'll just move to the next slide. So before I move into, I want to do a small activity, but before I move into the activity, I wanted to just give a brief of what sustainability externally looks like as of now, before we move into understanding what it can mean for ISAC, what it can mean for you as an individual. It's important to understand what is happening outside in sustainability. So I've mentioned a few trends which we observed as a company, one of which is ESG investing. So ESG, as I mentioned, environmental, social, and governance. So it's become very big deal right now that companies have started investing more holistic point of view, that there are so many agencies and stock exchanges in the world which have now started rating the companies, the listed companies in their countries based on the ESG parameters. So under environment, social, and governance, there are multiple you can say KPIs to understand how a company is performing in these areas. And no more is the future is said to be where, as of now, we still see that companies uh, we invest into stock market or mutual funds based on how much profit a company makes or how much profit a fund makes. And now they say the future has become more in the direction of how sustainable a company is, because the more sustainable the company, the more long-term growth a company will have. Maybe a company might not grow short-term, but this company is going to be sustainable if any pandemic comes, if any natural disaster is there, if anything happens, this company will sustain because they are very strong in their pillars of environment, social, and governance. And I think that is like a very strong trend moving around in the industry as of now, of investors investing in this area. Second is impact. Um, Something which has we are observing has been happening over the decade, and even more right now is governments and stock exchanges are making it mandatory to report on the impact you're making as an organization. Now, when I say impact, the biggest problem which companies treated impact as was, companies used to think, if I donate 50,000 notebooks in a rural community, I made an impact. And that's a very wrong definition of impact. Impact is that there's difference between you input something, okay? Say, imagine I input 10 rupees to buy 10 toffees for a person in a rural community. That I cannot say I made an impact on this one person or 10 people. What I can say is I inputted 10 rupees and the output was buying 10 toffees, and the outcome was 10 people got the toffees. But what is the impact? You might not know what the impact is for the next 7, 8 years. The impact could have been bad because of them eating toffees, they got health disorders. Example. That is the impact. So impact can be positive, negative, but impact cannot be measured right there and then. And that's what now governments and stock exchanges have started understanding, that companies need to report on long-term impact of what contribution are they doing to the communities, and on a long term, how is it driving the impact. The third is cohesion. Cohesion is because as sustainability is growing, we see United Nations has sustainable development goals. There's CDP, which is the climate initiative, which has its own set of parameters of how can you become carbon neutral as a company. There's an organization called GRI, which gives you certain standards on which you report on your sustainability. There's multiple standards. There's so many frameworks on which you can create a report of your company for sustainability based on what is more suitable for you. And what has started happening is government started realizing, hey, you cannot just say I'm going to be sustainable only based on this one framework, and this other framework which might be good, you are not going to be sustainable. So governments have started asking for integrated reporting. How can you report as an organization by integrating multiple frameworks together and reporting on it? And that has been beneficial for organization because, say, if a UAE company wants to get investment from an American company, a US company is not going to believe necessarily in a local framework. Maybe you might have to report on a global framework which US investor believes in. So that means rather than making so many reports and to please every single person, why don't you integrate frameworks to make an integrated report so that you can use this one single report to showcase in multiple areas. Finally, is targets. So now is when recently over experiences I've observed the companies we're working with, companies have now started realizing you can't just come and say by 2025 we are going to have no plastic waste in the world. No, on what basis are you saying that? On what basis? Like Coca-Cola came and said by 2025 we'll be plastic free, single-use plastic free. But what on what basis? Like so now companies have started realizing you can't just make commitments based on how you feel it's right. Okay, UN wants to achieve SDGs by 2030, and if you say by 2025 we will work 100% for quality education, no, but quality education has more than 100 parameters. What are you going to exactly work for? What are you exactly going to achieve? At what percentage are you? Do you have to tangify your targets? And that's where organizations have now started uniting to understand they need to have scientific targets, they need to have milestones, they need to have a roadmap to achieve what they want to. And that's more or less what is happening in the industry right now. Very happy to answer questions later on. But what I strongly believe is we as people, however big the concept is, however big sustainability as a concept externally might be, true sustainability begins from humanistic belief. Why I strongly believe in humanistic belief is because if you as an organization, if you as an individual, if you as a government, if you as a any authority does not first think about people, uh, then what is the point of sustainability? If you think sustainability is just because of PR, then why are you even thinking of doing sustainability as a concept in your organization? But if your sustainability surrounds around the people as the core, that's when you can actually grow because you can be 100% good for with environment. You can be 100% good in your policies of the company. You can be 100% good in every single thing and sustainable in every single area. But if you're not sustainable with your people, your organization can stop right there and then. And if you don't care about the humans around you, the people can be your company people. It can be your shareholders, your stakeholders, the community where you're working in, every single aspect. And that's where sustainability begins from, of what the people need, what do your employees need, what do your communities need, every single aspect. And that's where the company grows into what sustainability is. And that's where I have two perspectives. I say, why not ISAC? The reason I say, why not ISAC, is because there can be two perspectives which I have personally seen in ISAC in different parts of my journey. The active perspectives, the question I want to ask is, are we integrating what we say in our personal actions and values? I've seen ISACers, I've seen different ISAC entities which speak about how they want to bring about a change in the world, but at the same time, once the same people I have met move out of a conference, they speak about a lot of things which are completely against what we speak as an organization. Uh, Example, I'll give you an example. Within the organization, we speak a lot about diversity and inclusion, but I have myself seen so many racist people inside ISEC as well. So it's like, what are you inside the organization? What are you speaking as an organization? Are you integrating that in what you say outside? What are you as a person? I think Hani mentioned when Hani and Maysoon were speaking, Hani mentioned that it's so important that you carry forward, like it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and you cannot be one person inside and one person outside because inside, this is how the values are. If you are living a lifestyle, you are that person. You believe in that. If you don't believe, then it's not the right place for you, right? There's 72 years of ISEC generation which have fought to bring this organization where it is today. And if you are who you are inside, that's who you should be outside. If you don't believe in it, then that's not the right place for you. Passive is what I'm speaking about right now, is what I've seen a lot. It is really good for the brand and organization. A lot of entities I've seen when I've engaged when I was in ISEC International, a lot of entities come to me in global conferences and say, you know what, we want to do this social initiative because it'll be so much good for our brand. We'll get into newspapers and then we can do more exchanges. But then why are you doing that? If you don't really believe and if you really can't stick to it, if you as an organization believe you're a youth leadership movement, you believe you are the voice of youth, then you have to speak up for every single thing which matters to you. Every single place where youth can actually add their voice and speak in its true essence. And that's what I distinguish active and passive. So by giving this context, the reason I was giving it was I want to ask you a question now, and you can take 2 to 3 minutes for this. So just remember what I said about active and passive. Passive can be, yeah, we'll do it because it looks good. Active can be, is it something we do it because it really means this is what organization stands for? We are the voice of youth. We really believe in that. And we're really going to put efforts to not just doing it through organization, but this is who we are as ISECers. So my question is, what can ISEC and ISECers do today for sustainability? Now, it can be having something to do with the companies, it can be something to do individually, it can be something to do as an organization. So I'll give you 3 minutes right now. Let's think about it and share. I'm here to feedback in any way possible. And if you have any points right away, I'm very happy to hear. But I would like you to note down somewhere. And I would personally request Isaac in the UAE MC to, at some point, if you ever get a space like this, to take these conversations forward. But as of now, if anyone has any points, you can speak up. If you want time, take your time. I'll give 3 minutes, but I'm here for having conversations.
I have a question. So, what really got you started with sustainability?
Can you repeat? I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
Oh, I just
What?
asked, what really got you started with sustainability? When was that like the main focus of everything you do? Like, when did that really start?
So how about we keep this question at the later part so we can address our questions together? Is that fine, Aman?
Yeah, yeah, sure, no worries.
I really like the question and I do have an answer to that. But if we keep, since right now we are speaking about what can ISEC and ISECers do, if you have any questions around that, so let's brainstorm on this together. What can ISEC and ISECers do? And I would really love to answer your question at the end. Thank you, Aman, for the question though.
No worries. And when it comes to Isaac and Isaacers, if we were to start somewhere, where do you think is the first place that we should start, like a step towards sustainability?
My personal opinion, it always starts with awareness. And I feel there are two levels of awareness, right? Like awareness can be very superficial, where you as you can just start like putting random Facebook and LinkedIn posts just because it looks good for ISAC, right? But awareness does not mean you as an organization is just putting social media posts. Awareness starts from having strong burning conversation inside rooms with ISACers of what really matters to them, what really triggers you as young people, what really bothers you around the world about what's happening across the world right now. And everyone knows what's happening across the world at this point. And if we, being privileged people who have the opportunity to be in ISAC, do not use this privilege to trigger these conversations and think about what really matters to you, what is going wrong, what is going right, and take actions towards it. Uh, it reduces the value, right, of what you do over here in ISAC. So I feel awareness is the step number one, and awareness is not just doing social media campaigns. Awareness is about being aware of who you are and what is happening around you and what is your opinion. Because I strongly believe I used to be a person in ISAC where I call myself kind of, I don't have an opinion. So, for example, if we spoke about, I don't know, okay, considering India where we elect governments, okay, and if my friends used to have discussion that who should we vote for, and I'll be like, oh, it doesn't matter to me because like I don't have any opinion. I'm not very political. I don't like all those things, which differs country to country, right? But I'm speaking from my side. Like I feel I've realized to this point, like I think I was just being ignorant because I had the privilege of saying that that doesn't matter to me, but it matters to so many, a lot more people. So yeah, that's what I think, Aman.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Okay, so do we have any sharings of what do you think ISEC and ISECers can do?
I know.
Yes. Tell me,
Yeah,
Asad.
I think what we can do is that what basically you talked about the active and the passive, and you also talked about having awareness, about the two levels of awareness. I think what we can do is that we can nurture that by, for example, having sort of discussion rooms and being more like interactive with each other. Like how should I say this? Like some people probably they're racist or probably they disagree with other people but they don't want to say it, or probably they have an opinion but they don't want to say it. Probably like for example Isaac wants to send someone X to this country, like to India or to Africa. He doesn't, like, he is afraid to say that he doesn't want to, that he doesn't want to go to India, or he hates India, or he hates Africa. I think what we need to do is that in Isaac that we need to allow space for these people to explain their opinion and to like how should I say it? Like like as I said, like allow them to draw their opinion out of them, like allow them to tell their opinion, like allow each and every one to, like for example, have them sit in a private room or have them talk to their friends and say their opinion out loud.
I think that's really interesting, Asan, what you mentioned because I was having a conversation yesterday with my girlfriend about the same exact thing that if if you are like being extremely tolerant can also make you intolerant because of the fact that what you mentioned, if someone is racist and someone does not like a particular country because of the idea they have about the country, rather than just ignoring them and saying that you don't understand, you're a racist person. What Hassan mentioned is very beautiful. Is like you still allow that person to extend their opinion in a room to be able to have a dialogue because, and that's when you can bring about change because you can't just, if a person is racist, you can't just call them out and shame them and say, because there might be a reason why the person is racist, right? So, or not necessarily racist or has some different opinion. And if you don't let them voice out their opinion, how are you going to have a dialogue with them to be able to make them understand why what they think about might be right or might be wrong? So, yeah, so thank you so much. I think that's a very strong point. I think Mohammed is raising hand. I'm not sure if he wants to speak.
Yep, I do have things to talk about as well.
Sure.
All right, so I'm going to use the example of environment here since that's what we were discussing. So I think a lot of times we end up only looking at the environmental concern and we kind of forget that a lot of other things also impact a society. Like, for example, when we look at economics, and as good people, we don't always factor in money when we make decisions that are morally good. But then we can't force that value on the world. So we do need to address the economics of being sustainable. And not just that, but a lot of times businesses and households might not be financially sustainable if the environmental sustainability they're trying to implement is causing them losses. And also, I think we also forget to address local and cultural values in many cases. Like, we look at international frameworks, we look at what foreign nations are doing, and then we try to copy paste the exact system in different localities. And I think that kind of has a negative impact on the region. So if we were to tailor the way we do things to include how local people do stuff and modify it instead of trying to copy paste, that could also make great strides. And the last thing I want to say is, a lot of times when we talk about good things like sustainability or whatever, we only look at surface level information, but we kind of fail to address where to start, how to start, what information and resources we need to be able to start, and where do we move forward. And I think that really comes from an assumption that if I give my listeners a starting point, an introduction to something, I can expect them to research about this and find their starting point. But I believe that's kind of idealistic because only a minority of people would be able to take that extra step. So I think as change makers, we kind of do have a duty to provide adequate resources and go in depth for a starting point. Like if I were to take an example, I'm going to go for recycling because that's a field I've been serving and researching lately. So in that, I think everyone over here would know that recycling is a good thing to do. It's among the 3 R's, and it involves changing a material into something else. And plastics and papers can be recycled. But how many of us really know that there are different grades of recycling, that certain emirates or certain countries can't recycle certain grades, or the kind of economics involved in recycling, or how you can audit your household waste and everything. So that's one example of how we just explore surface level information and kind of fail to address everything else. So I do believe we need to start going more in depth and address the psychology and different fields that are associated with an issue beyond just values.
That's really interesting, Mohammed, what you mentioned. We should definitely take forward a conversation after this conference outside, because I really love when people take this conversation in depth, because and what you mentioned is so beautiful, because we observe this a lot. Recycling, for example, what recycling Mohammed mentioned, recycling is made such a marketing gimmick in today's world, because you can make your products recyclable does not mean your product is going to be of the same grade of recycling. For example, if the first question you can ever ask a company who says they have 100% recyclable products is, how much of these recyclable products are you recycling and reusing back? If your 100% products are recyclable, then technically you should be using those 100% products back into, in a circular manner, back into manufacturing. But a majority of the big companies, you'll observe, they only use 15 to 20% of their products into getting it back, even though they are 100% recyclable. Second problem being, recycling is not always good, because even if your product can be recycled, a plastic which is melted down or put into recycling, it does not stay of the same grade once it's formed again. It has to be added with more dangerous chemicals and more toxic chemicals to again put it into a kind of a little less grade than what it was. So that means you're creating more toxic elements by the concept of recycling. So I really like what Mohammed mentioned, and it's super important to go into depth. And that's also, by the way, Aman, that's also one of the reasons why I got attracted into sustainability, because I saw externally there was so much superficial stuff, and I thought it'd be really great to be a part of this industry and explore what really companies think and what is the small change which I can contribute to over here. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you so much. Uh, okay, what we can do now is, if everyone has a diary or if you have mobile phone, I want you to again think, what does sustainability mean to you in one single sentence, and write it down for you anywhere. I'll give you a minute. Whatever comes first to your mind, what does sustainability mean to you? Just note it down. Okay, just note it down anywhere, on a mobile phone, on a paper. And once you have done it, just on the chat box, just type done or a thumbs up, or you can just react with thumbs up on Zoom.
Yep,
So I
done.
understand if everyone's okay, done. I'll wait for at least 50% people to get done. So, okay. Okay, let's just use the reaction on Zoom, because I'm seeing everyone right now on Zoom. So just use the reaction on Zoom. Just type, just put a thumbs up on Zoom. Okay, Aman, Zoya. I think Nitin was also done. Amir is done. Okay, I'm seeing people putting thumbs up. I think people, more or less, people have done it. Amazing. Okay, that was my first question, right? Now, my next question is ISEC for sustainability. Okay, that's the conversation we were having, right? ISEC for sustainability. What can you do? That's my question. My first question is note down below what does sustainability mean to you? Connect that to what can you do within ISEC for sustainability. Now, this is how I look at brainstorming. Okay, there can be three types of brainstorming. One is you can have an idea which you feel is an idea which already exists and you can easily implement. That is one kind of idea, which is also great. Second kind of idea is which you think should be done, but is impossible to implement in your mind. That's the second type of idea. Third type of idea is you feel there's this idea in your mind which has not been done ever before, but it is possible to implement in your mind. And I would like you to put down what can you do individually through ISEC for sustainability. It can be the way I said, any idea. It can be an idea which already exists, which does not exist and it's impossible, and does not exist but it's possible in your mind. Can be anything. And note it down. I'll give you another 2 minutes. Once you get done, just type done. Once everyone is done, you can just put a thumbs up. So again, I'm aware about it. Okay. Can I proceed? If anyone is not done, you can just tell me directly. I'm assuming I can move forward, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'll wait for one, two, and three. Okay. Finally, I'm moving forward. Okay. Um, Okay, so now what we are going to do is everyone thought of multiple ideas, okay? We will have a short 5 minutes breakout room. Anushna will help us, everyone move into breakout rooms. Anushna, if we can, how many people do we have right now? We have about 33, but that's including me and the MC, I believe. So you can just split people into average of 4 to 5 people in a room. Anushna, would that be fine?
Yeah, all right, I'll go ahead and do so.
Uh, okay, and before you do that, so then what we'll do right now is I want uh, I want all of us to present what are the ideas which you thought about, and as a group, uh, like narrow down on the idea. What could be the thing that you believe as a group? You can either vote for it, but as when we come out of breakout room, I want each group to have one idea which you believe is something super interesting. Doesn't have to be always unique, but it's something super interesting which you think I can do over here. Okay, so let's move into breakout rooms now. Anushna, does anyone have any question? It's clear. It's super simple. You all brainstormed about your ideas. You'll discuss your ideas quickly, not elaborate a lot, but because it's 5 minutes, and narrow down on what could be the idea of your group. Amazing. Anushna, I think we can start moving into breakout.
Yes, sure. Just 1 second.
Anushna, are we done with everyone in the room?
Oh yeah, everyone's in the room. Some people have not joined. I'm not really sure why. I'm checking
I
up with them
think.
personally.
Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just get them back in 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, will do.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hi,
And
guys. So, what's the solution that you guys are coming up? Hey, Hania. Hey,
I'm
Batami.
yeah. Basically what I came up was that
You
we
guys
can
can open your
invest
mic and
in
open your camera. It's totally fine.
I thought of was that we can invest in rural areas. Like after the coronavirus, many countries became like even poorer. They suffered so much, especially the countries that depend on tourism. Like for example, you have like Spain, France. You have like Lebanon, for example. You have these countries that depend a lot on tourism, even Italy. So they suffered so much after coronavirus. What I'm thinking of is that we can support the rural areas. Support, for example, you have, for example, northern Lebanon. You have always people, someone works as a teacher, someone works as a security guard. They were all kicked out of their jobs suddenly, just like that, because of Corona. If we can support them, we can teach them, teach their kids, because these people, they don't have internet, they don't have access to internet, don't have money. We can teach them, support their kids, teach their kids. For example, I know that Isaac is doing this, teaching in Africa, in India, teaching English. What we can do is that we can teach their kids, help their kids, teach them English, math, science, the basic stuff, organization, behavior, leadership development. Turn them into Isaac members, turn them into Isaacers, turn them into new members, new Isaacers. We can welcome them into our organization, because these they have the will, they have the need to learn, the will to learn. So we can welcome them with open arms into our organization.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Hassan. How about Pratami, Wania, and Arpita?
I think we should, like when he was telling about ISAC, about sustainability, how it is, we need to go into depth, we need to see the resources of it, and not just, superficially. I think we should be going into a bit more depth, not just environment sustainability, but also the other kind of sustainability that is required for us to sustain longer. Because being an organization, a youth-led organization, we do realize the importance of it. We do realize, being financially sustainable, how important that is for us. So these kind of knowledge, at the same time, working on projects that we can work here locally to promote it, should be, we should be considering, we should be looking into that.
That's amazing, Arpita. I think for me, to become a organization that continues to develop leadership, I think just exporting on. Wait, just give me a minute. So I think some of my points about trying to develop something that's sustainable have to be both two sides, right? The solutions need to be sustainable. On its own, it's sustainable, where you're not just benefiting one generation, which is ISEC generations which we are in, but also benefiting the generations that's coming in the future. So I think just starting with that sustainable solution is very important, but how do we ensure that solution is sustainable on its own? Continuously impact not just the African region, but people in the Middle East, people that's within that group of community. I think what Hassan mentioned is also quite interesting, where we should bring together all these people to become a part of our organization, because how we develop the leadership qualities that might not be accessible to them, right? So I think that's one start. But then the question asks, like, how do we do that? So we have ISEC in other countries, ISEC in Nigeria, ISEC in Zimbabwe. They're also having their difficulties. I think what you can do is you can start by actually reaching out to them. How can we partner with these ISECers in that country to promote leadership in that country with partnership of ISEC in the UAE? Maybe we can bring in talents from ISEC in the UAE to virtually educate them in, let's say, in Africa. So this is some of the example that I think might be suitable. Hopefully we can execute it together.
All back.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Um, Amazing. So, can we have one person from each group to just quickly share what did you think of?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Should I go first?
Yeah, Hassan, sure.
Yeah. So the idea that we shared mostly was that So basically, you have the coronavirus. After the coronavirus, many people, many countries, they're wealth diminished and everything. So you have countries like, for example, Lebanon, France, Italy, who many rely on tourism. The main point is here that in Lebanon, you have, for example, northern Lebanon. You have the people there. Many of them they were kicked out of their jobs. Here, so what I want to light out here, what I want to point out here is that, we have their kids. So their kids, they don't have access to internet, don't have access to schools, nothing. They're without education. We can actually make a program that works with Isaac UAE, Isaac Nigeria, Isaac India to actually teach these kids, to welcome these kids. We can send volunteers, we can do this virtually, we can work with these kids, teach them about organizational behavior, development, sustainability, teach them about the values of Isaac, and welcome them as the new future members of Isaac in order to foster a new generation of Isaac internationally, and also in order to help the new generation of this country who are ready to work and who need to work and who are ready to learn and also who need to learn.
Thank you, Hassan. That's a very interesting idea for sure. Who else
Yeah,
wants to go?
yeah.
Second group?
I don't know which group we were, but can I go?
Yeah, sure. I just want one person from each group, so I'm pretty sure you'll be aware what the idea person is speaking about because since you would have voted out. So yeah,
Yeah. So what we were discussing about in our breakout session was uh, we were basically talking about the UN SDGs. Now, what what we have seen in the region is that there have been many initiatives that have been so that have surfaced, but the evidence is somewhat not visible, and what this movement needs is a bit more traction, a bit more it needs to attract people, not just the companies, not just the government. It needs to attract individuals, and we learn about it in our classes in our universities, but it needs to reach um the masses, like a huge crowd. So what we were talking about was basically a series, a documentary of sorts, a small docu series that that captures how the initiatives were taken, basically, and it starts with education, to educate people about the initiatives and how what sustainability is, and what are the goals and how we can achieve the goals. And then we move on to the UN SDGs and how UAE has been implementing these strategies, and we go out and we capture what all has been done till now and what all we can do. Now this way we can gain this movement will gain traction, and UAE as a country, like, there is a huge platform for YouTube and all these social media platforms where we can put out these videos, and from there we can take this to a place that where people can contribute and join us to towards the development of this so basically producing a documentary series where we cover each and every single goal, and how UAE has been implementing these strategies and what all we need in the future, basically call to action of sorts, calling people to
that's
act on their own.
interesting, Mohammed. I think that's interesting. At the end of once everyone shares, I'll also speak from my side, like what I think personally. Uh, if I would have been in your place, what I think would have been super simple and nice to do. But then, thank you, Mohammed, for sharing. Anyone else?
Can I go next?
Sure, sure.
So in my group with Amir, Aman, and Clara, we came up with a few ideas. One of them being on the personal level, what we can do is because of COVID-19, we're all sitting at home. We don't really have much activities, especially as students and just kids. Just in general, we don't have any activities, so we can go out for small cleanup drives, not as groups but as individuals, and just general cleaning up idea that we all know. And we can even let everyone be aware of this by what others said, like informing people through documentaries, etc., and things like that. Another thing that we also came up with that we recommend that ISEC could also do is that we could have partnerships with other organizations, or like the recycling partnership that Amazon's with, or the Nature Conservancy, the partnership for renewable energy finance and things like that. We could have partnerships, and we could also raise awareness to all these team members and things like that, like just like how we're doing right now.
That's interesting, Akshay. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, I strongly believe that, for example, for the drives you mentioned, I remember in 2017 is when I had started an initiative in my local committee back then in Mumbai, where we started taking our local chapter was about 120 people. All 120 people used to go every Saturday, Sunday to a beach in Mumbai, which was one of the most polluted beach across India. Um and with 120 people, with joining more and more organizations, more and more partnerships, uh, we joined this lawyer whose name is Afroz Shah, who is also a UN awardee. The initiative, the drive became one of it's even today the world's largest beach cleanup, and ISEC has been associated with that. My local chapter was associated with that. That took forward an initiative in my MC term when I was MCVP, where we organized. There's a global partnership ISEC had called Let's Do It Foundation. Along with them, we organized a World Cleanup Day where we, as ISEC was in India, is only present in over 30 cities, but through the influence of partnerships and government, we mobilized 100,000 people in 97 cities, and that was super massive for us. And not just not just an initiative, but everyone was on ground, and that initiative continued for an entire year of us spreading the awareness and doing as much as possible. Uh, but again, thank you, Akshay, for sharing. I believe there's potential for always for partnerships, always for doing new initiatives. But at the end of the day, I think all of us should always remember what is the consistency at why are we doing this is the biggest question we should ask. Are we doing it just for the sake of it, or are we doing it for something which is actually going to bring about some impact or outcome at the end of the day? So thank you. Anyone else? If anyone else would like to share, else I can move forward. Amazing. Perfect. So what I was saying that at the end of the day, what I strongly think can be a starting point, especially since the MC is here, if the MC can show their face to me. But what I really think, hi Ahmad, what I really think is what Ahmad, if I can share with you, is like what Isaac can really start with is not necessarily. I know for an MC also it's a burden to do 100 new things and 100. I've been a part of MC. I really believe the starting point is always having conversations, having spaces where people young within, whether it's within ISEC, whether it can be non-ISEC, engaging as many young people as possible to have really strong conversations about things which bother us today. Uh, and because at the end of the day, everything is associated with sustainability, and how can you strike these conversations? Because as I mentioned, we are the voice of youth. We say that we are voice of youth, then where is the voice of youth? Like, what are the spaces where ISECers themselves can first get aware, but at the same time also engage as many young people as possible? Because today, a lot of people do not are not able to engage with ISEC because of maybe we are completely virtual, maybe you cannot go on exchange at this point. So, what are the spaces you are creating to have this awareness through conversations? through spreading what ISEC really is, uh, through having such rooms of discussion, inviting more people to talk about this, inviting externals to speak about this, having workshops. What more can you do to be more aware, be more be more real? What Mohammed mentioned, be more action oriented, uh, and because and conversations do lead to taking actions. Conversations do lead to taking steps forward, right? So that's what is my personal opinion, and really appreciate all the groups having discussions and also sharing over here. Uh, that's more or less from my side. As we always say in our company, we are sustainably yours, and this is how we write it. Sustainably, we are again sustainably yours always, and we are more than happy to always be there. Before I move into questions, Ahmad, can I take 5 minutes for questions? Yeah. So before I move into the questions from everyone, the questions can be again related to the session today. If you have any other ISEC related question, I'm open to answering anything. But also would love to know if you have any session related questions because yeah, I would just like to announce that this is something I was speaking to our group CEO, Monem. Monem is from Tunisia. He's the group CEO of former ISEC International alumni, and also our other co-founder, Eric Hensel. Eric Hensel was a part of ISEC in the United States. Both of them stay in the UAE right now. I took this opportunity to speak with them, and we wanted to keep it out open to ISEC in the UAE that we love ISECers as an organization. Uh, at any point, if any one of you, whether you are a student right now, whether you're completing a graduation, if you're looking out for internships, if you're looking out to work in this field, again, I'm not here to sell that we want people to join us. What I'm trying to say is if you really believe in the conversation we had today, if you really believe that you really want to contribute in this field and you can make a difference in any small way possible, uh, uh, you can definitely send across an email to Raj. Raj is our HR manager. She's also from ISEC. She's from ISEC in Tunisia. So you can write her an email. You guys, all of you can take a screenshot of this page or take a photograph, and maybe I think Ahmed can also share with you later on. You can send across emails and you can bombard with as many emails for internships or jobs, and you can just put my name in reference, and we'll be more than happy to have people from ISEC in the UAE to work with us, because at the end of the day, as I remember what Hani mentioned, we don't we don't believe, as a company, we don't care if you have a degree or not, whether you what degree you have. We don't I'm an engineering graduate. We have people who do not have any graduation degrees. By the end of the day, what we believe is if you have the willingness to work in this field, if you have the willingness to learn, anyone can learn and anyone can grow. So very open to receiving your resumes. Raj will be waiting for you, and you can let us know if you have any interest. So yeah, that's more or less from my side. Again, just saying thank you, and I'm open to questions. I believe last Mohammed had a question. Mohammed, I remember who had the question about what took me over here. So I think if you still have that question, you can ask me. It's an open space.
Hi, I'm Nitin.
Hi, Nathan. Yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to ask you, how long were you there in ISEC?
I was there in ISEC since 2015. Yeah, and I left ISEC in 2020. So I left ISEC last year. Out during the pandemic, we I completed my global role. Yep,
Oh,
so it was
that's sad.
more or less. Yeah. So I was during the pandemic. Our half team was in Canada. The rest half of the team, since I was a part of Asia Pacific BD, I was supposed to be moving around Asia Pacific. So my role was doing sales in Asia, across Singapore, across China, Philippines. So while I was moving across, the pandemic happened, and then I ended up staying back in India. So half team completed the role in Canada, half team was in different countries. So we never met together. So we finished our role in different countries, and we still have this pending meeting of us catching up together someday. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
So, what made you leave ISEC?
I left ISEC because that was the last position I could have in ISEC.
Oh,
So,
okay, okay,
uh,
okay.
so I started as a member in Mumbai, in the city of Mumbai, in the local chapter. While I was a student in engineering, where I was studying engineering, I started as a member. Very similar to major of you over here. I
Mhm.
grew up to be a team leader. I became a local committee vice president in my local chapter. And then I again, for in the year 2016, I was local committee vice president for IGT. Uh, I hope you still call the product the same, because while I was leaving, ISEC products were changing. So I was managing IGT in 2016 in my local chapter. Then I applied for to become LCP of president of my city. I didn't get elected, so I chose to again reapply to become LCVP. So I became LCVP for business development in 2017. Uh, Along with that, I was also working for the global expansion board with ISEC International. So I was traveling again to Netherlands at the same time as well,
Mhm.
and was LCVP. Then I for 8 months I was the MCBD manager. So I was supporting the MCVP BD with BD as a
Uh-huh.
manager. So I started doing full-time job role from that point in ISEC, and then I contested for MCVP BD. So then I became MCVP BD for the year 18-19. I finished that role, and then I applied to ISEC International, which is the ISEC International is the topmost body which manages entire ISEC network. So I got selected to be AI for ISEC International for business development for Asia Pacific. So after that, the only role you can after the only role you can work for is the global president, because you were already global vice president. So global president is something which I was not interested in. I really, through ISEC, I really found that I really love sales. I really love to network. I love to meet people. And again, through ISEC, I got to know that sustainability and social impact is the kind of area I want to be in, is the area where I want to grow myself. So I think both of them I found through ISEC, and through ISEC International. So Monam, who's our CEO of my company, he is a board of advisor of ISEC International. So that's how I met Monam at the global office in Canada. And
Mhm.
Monam saw my work in Asia Pacific for entire year. And if you see, my current role in this company is also doing business development for Asia. So
That's
that's
great.
how, having the same role in ISEC, I took the same role in this company outside ISEC. So yeah.
So, after the final role, you can't be part of ISEC.
You are always a part of ISEC, right? You are an ISEC alumni now. So I
Oh,
I'm an ISEC alumni, so I'm here always to help out people. I still go back to my local chapter whenever they want some help. They want me to chair, like how Masoon was chairing the conference. I have been
yeah.
chairing multiple conferences. So it's more like you are, what we say in ISEC is, you are once an ISECer is always an
It's
ISECer. So
always an ISEC. Yeah.
so you are no more a part of ISEC, but you are an ISEC alumni. So tomorrow in my company, 80% people are ISECers. So we still have a ISEC community in my company. If I go somewhere else, I'm going to always try finding ISECers in that country. If I travel to a random country, I know there's going to be one ISECer over there who can host me and who can show me around the country. So I'm never going to be alone. So I think that's what you carry
That's
forward.
amazing.
Yeah, you carry forward that essence, right, together along with me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you for the question. Anyone else? Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Sarah.
So it's a somewhat personal question.
Sure.
Um, so we were talking about sustainability and sustainability within companies, and I wanted to know if you had any sustainable practices that you implement in your daily life, and how difficult they
Mm-hmm.
are to be consistent with those practices, or if they are difficult to be consistent with those
Mm-hmm.
practices.
Personal life, definitely. So I Because of my girlfriend, she's vegan. I decided to go vegan in 2019. So it's been almost now 1.5 years. So I believe for me, that is definitely a part of being sustainable because, uh, I mean, being vegan does not just mean not eating meat, but I think it's also about every single aspect of being sustainable and how we are shopping for our clothing. So me and my girlfriend stay together. We choose to not shop when it's really, really needed. We choose to avoid going to fast moving fashion brands such as H&M and all as such. We choose to avoid as much as we can and go to local brands, local shops which can provide us with the same thing. Unless I know in the current context, sometimes you cannot prevent it completely, and you do end up going. So I try my best to do that. uh, Apart from that, practices could be we try, since we are vegan, we now move to plant based. We are no more vegan as well. We are completely plant based. So we also don't eat oil. And now we have started moving into practice. How can we make our own milk? So now it's more like we make our own milk at home. We just crush almonds and we add water and becomes almond milk. So like small things, ensuring you carry a water bottle with you wherever you go. Especially COVID is there, but keeping COVID aside, like what's the need of considering a country like India, or I'm going to move to Thailand, it's very cheap to buy a water bottle, so people don't choose to carry a water bottle. But why do you want to, move to that? So wherever you feel in different areas of your life, you can contribute uh, in any way. Uh, I feel those are the practices which I personally take forward on a daily basis. I'm not perfect. I agree to that. Like I do end up doing wrong things or some things which should not be done. And yeah, I mean that's one of more or less like I can say that's more or less. So yeah,
Okay, thank you.
welcome. Anyone else? I think Amir
I
was
have a
asking,
question.
but before you ask me, I think Amir asked me where in India. Amir, I'm in Mumbai right now in India. So yeah, I think someone has a question. So yeah,
I have a question.
sure.
Yeah. I have a question. Yeah. So if someone is, let's say, someone is going for an internship, so person
Hmm.
X doesn't have lots of experience. He has a, let's say, he is done like, let's say, 6 month experience. Like he's only done 2 internships. Let's say, but he's an Isaacer. Let's say
Hmm.
person Y, he has, let's say, he has a master's and a doctorate, and he has like 6 years experience. So which one are you more likely to take, the Isaacer or the other guy, the one who has a doctorate and
Okay.
3 to 6 years
Okay.
experience?
I think it very much depends, right, Hassan? It very much depends on what are you applying for. For example, if a person who has 2 internships and a person who is an ISECer wants to become the vice president of KPMG, well, that's the point is also experience, right? The experience always it's not about. I don't believe in you having the need to have doctorate and masters. That's not the point. What my point is who you are as a person, what are your experiences, and if you're able to fit into the place over there. So it's very unfair for us to compare a person who has 6 years experience, a master's and a doctorate, and a person who has internship in ISEC, because that does not weigh down, because both of them will never apply for the same thing. Yeah, are you getting my point, Asan? So
Yeah, yeah.
but what I can comment on is like in my experience. Okay, for example, I'll give you my personal experience. I never gave an interview for my job. I never gave an interview for my job. What what I had was a conversation with the CEO of the company, that what are my aspirations, why do I want to join the company, and what where can I contribute. And originally, I was supposed to join Sustainable Square as taking care of West Africa because I really wanted to go to Africa back then. Uh, and due to lockdown, different things happened. Uh, I told the CEO of Sustainable Square that, you know what, I'm not really sure if I would like to go to Africa at this point. It's like, okay, where else do you think you can contribute as an individual? And it's like, hey, meet, you know what? In ISEC, you were managing business development for Asia Pacific for ISEC International, and you did really well. You did partnerships in Singapore, you went to China, you went to Philippines, and you created partnerships. So you know the market, you know how to operate over there. So why not take forward the same role as a part of Sustainable Square? And I was like, oh, that's interesting because I never thought about it. And then it's like, where would you like to stay? I was like, I don't want to stay in India, and I would like, I see myself traveling for the next few years. Uh, and then he's like, okay, do a research and think about it. Where can be the headquarters of Asia Pacific for our company? And I said Thailand after doing research, and I presented the research, and my boss told me, okay, yeah, and I'm the first employee in Asia right now, and my boss said, okay, you go to Thailand and you set up the company over there. And where else would you? I don't feel I would have gotten this experience of moving into a job in this manner. Where I told them what I want, what I can do, and they told me, okay, fine, you go to another country. So Thailand, we do not have any office. I'll be going in June as the first employee of the company to Thailand and setting up an office. So you do understand what I'm trying to say, right? So doesn't matter
Yeah,
if you have a nice experience, you can have 1 2 internship. What matters is not you just saying I'm an ISECer. What matters is what you have done in ISEC. What being able to being able to speak about it, because I've seen a lot of people in ISEC who just put fake things on their profile as I was the president of ISEC. Okay, but when you go in an interview, when you go to speak people, if you people know ISAC around the world. So if you're speaking, people understand. I've seen almost every single big company has minimum number of ISACers always in the company. So you can differentiate a person who's actually speaking. Oh, I've been a part of the world's largest youth organization, and what I've done in that. That's what matters. What you have done, right?
thank you so much.
For sure. So anyone else? Last question. And then probably I can share with all of you my email ID. So in case you have any questions and speak about something, speak about not necessarily joining the company, but you want to speak about being in this field or learning in this field or going for education in this field, you can definitely email me. But anyone else? Any last question?